Maria Delgado spent 5 years caring for Sheikh Hassan al-Malik-like family, but after he secretly left her $3 million in his will, hidden CCTV footage exposed the terrifying lengths his sons went to silence her forever. Maria Delgado arrived in Dubai carrying a single suitcase and a promise to her family that she would return one day with enough money to change their lives. Back in the Philippines, years of unstable work and growing debt had pushed her into accepting overseas jobs wherever opportunities appeared. When she was hired as a live-in caregiver for Sheikh Hassan al-Malik, the offer seemed almost impossible to refuse. Hassan was one of Dubai's wealthiest businessmen, known for his influence in construction, real estate, and private investments. His massive estate sat far from the busy parts of the city, surrounded by tall walls, private guards, and advanced security systems. Very few outsiders ever entered the property, and those who did rarely remained there long. Maria stayed for 5 years. During that time, Hassan's health steadily declined. Age and illness had weakened him, forcing him to spend most of his time inside a private wing of the mansion. Doctors visited regularly, but it was Maria who handled the details of his daily care. She organized medication schedules, monitored medical equipment, and stayed awake through long nights whenever his condition became unstable. The Sheikh trusted very few people. His sons visited the estate often, but their presence rarely lasted long. Karim focused on business matters, Faisal handled security operations tied to the family, and Nabil spent most of his time managing luxury investments overseas. Whenever they entered their father's room, discussions quickly turned tense. Financial documents appeared, arguments followed, and the atmosphere inside the mansion became uncomfortable. Maria noticed the distance between them. Hassan seemed calmer when his sons were absent. He relied on Maria for routine, stability, and privacy. Over time, she became more than just a caregiver. She controlled access to his medical wing, organized sensitive paperwork, and learned details about the Sheikh's personal affairs that even some family members did not know. The household staff noticed it too. Some workers quietly warned Maria to avoid becoming too involved in family matters. Others hinted that Hassan's sons disliked how much trust their father placed in her. At first, Maria ignored the tension, believing her role was temporary and professional. But the resentment grew. Karim watched her carefully during meetings. Faisal questioned security staff about her movements around the estate. Nabil openly challenged why a caregiver had access to private records and financial documents. Their suspicions slowly transformed into hostility. Then Hassan's condition worsened suddenly. Doctors increased their visits. Private nurses rotated through the estate, and parts of the mansion were sealed off completely. Maria remained beside Hassan through every stage of his decline, often becoming the only person inside the room during critical moments. One winter morning, Hassan died peacefully in his private suite. The estate immediately transformed into a controlled environment. Security tightened around the property, staff movement became restricted, and lawyers arrived within hours carrying sealed files connected to Hassan's will. Days later, the family gathered for the reading. The atmosphere inside the room remained cold and silent until Hassan's final decision was revealed. Maria Delgado had been left $3 million and ownership of a private property outside Dubai. The room froze. For a brief moment, no one moved. Then Maria noticed something far more dangerous than anger in the faces of Hassan's sons. She saw fear. The atmosphere inside the estate changed immediately after the will was read. What had once felt like a strict but manageable environment now carried constant pressure. Maria noticed it the moment she returned to her room that evening. Security guards who used to greet her avoided eye contact. Hallway cameras seemed to follow her movements more closely, and staff members stopped speaking whenever she entered a room. The sons had taken full control of the mansion. Karim moved into his father's private office and began reviewing financial records late into the night. Faisal reorganized the estate's security team, replacing long-serving guards with men loyal only to him. Nabil focused on legal matters, bringing lawyers and advisors into the property almost daily. Together, they turned the estate into a controlled space where every movement was monitored. At first, the pressure appeared subtle. Maria's access card suddenly stopped working in areas she had entered freely for years. Her schedule was changed without warning, limiting where she could go inside the mansion. Staff members who once treated her kindly became distant, afraid of being associated with her. Then the intimidation became more direct. One night, Maria returned to her room and found her belongings disturbed. Drawers had been opened, clothing moved, and documents scattered across the floor. Nothing appeared stolen, but someone had clearly searched the room carefully. The message was obvious. Days later, another incident followed. While driving into the city to purchase medication, Maria noticed a black vehicle following her through multiple streets. The vehicle kept its distance but remained visible no matter how many turns she made. When she finally returned to the estate, the same vehicle entered through a private security gate. The brothers were watching her. Maria realized the inheritance itself was not the real issue. Something else frightened them more than the money Hassan had left behind. That fear pushed her to investigate. Over the years, Hassan had trusted Maria with sensitive responsibilities. During his illness, he often asked her to organize files, store records, and secure digital backups connected to his businesses. At the time, Maria viewed it as part of her job. Now she began reviewing what Hassan had quietly preserved before his death. The records revealed disturbing patterns. Large amounts of money had disappeared from Hassan's companies over several years. Financial transfers linked directly to offshore accounts appeared hidden inside complex business transactions. Several signatures on contracts looked inconsistent, almost forged. The deeper Maria looked, the clearer the picture became. Hassan's sons had been stealing from him. Millions had been moved through fake companies and hidden accounts while Hassan's health declined. The Sheikh discovered the fraud months before his death and had secretly started gathering evidence against his own family. Maria suddenly understood why Hassan trusted her. The $3 million were not simply a reward for loyalty. The inheritance served another purpose. Hassan wanted someone outside the family to hold evidence that could expose the truth after he died. That realization terrified her. Because if the brothers believed she possessed proof of their crimes, the inheritance was the least dangerous thing connected to her. And inside the estate, the brothers were already searching for something. Maria stopped sleeping properly after discovering the hidden financial records. Every sound inside the estate felt dangerous. Footsteps outside her room at night lasted longer than before, and unfamiliar guards now patrolled the hallways connected to the private wing of the mansion. The atmosphere had shifted completely. What once felt like a workplace now felt like a trap. She knew she needed to leave Dubai, but leaving quietly would not be simple. The Al Malik family controlled nearly every part of the environment around her. Security checkpoints monitored all vehicles entering and leaving the estate. Cameras covered every hallway, elevator, and gate. Even the staff phones were connected to internal systems managed by Faisal's security team. Maria began planning carefully. She copied Hassan's financial files onto several encrypted drives and hid them in different parts of the mansion. One drive was taped beneath a storage cabinet in the medical wing. Another was hidden inside an air vent near Hassan's old office. She kept only one copy with her at all times, concealed inside the lining of a handbag she never left unattended. The records contained enough evidence to destroy the family. Fake companies, hidden accounts, forged approvals, and massive transfers connected directly to Karim, Faisal, and Nabil filled the files. Hassan had documented everything before his death, quietly building a case against his own sons while pretending not to suspect them. Maria realized Hassan must have known he was running out of time. The inheritance now made sense. By leaving her money publicly, Hassan guaranteed that the brothers would focus on her after his death. He had turned her into the visible target while secretly placing the evidence in her hands. That realization frightened her even more. The brothers were no longer simply angry. They were desperate. Their behavior inside the estate became increasingly aggressive. Staff rooms were inspected without warning. Security guards searched storage areas late at night. Even the servants' schedules changed constantly, making it difficult for anyone to move unnoticed. Then Maria noticed something alarming. Whenever she approached Hassan's old office, security activity increased nearby. Guards suddenly appeared in hallways that had been empty moments earlier. Cameras followed her movement more directly. It became obvious the brothers believed important evidence was hidden somewhere inside that office. And they were right. One night, Maria decided to retrieve the final set of files Hassan had concealed there. She waited until after midnight, when most of the estate became quiet. Carrying a small flashlight, she moved through a service corridor connected to the private wing. The mansion felt unnaturally silent. As she reached the office, she entered quickly and locked the door behind her. Hidden inside a compartment beneath Hassan's desk were several hard drives and paper documents tied to offshore transactions. But before Maria could leave, movement appeared outside the office. Shadowed figures crossed beneath the hallway lights. Then someone tried the locked door. The pressure against it came suddenly and violently. Maria backed away as the door shook again, harder this time. Outside, multiple footsteps moved rapidly through the hallway. The security cameras near the office blinked once, then went dark. Inside the room, Maria realized the brothers had finally found her. The security system remained offline for 23 minutes. When the cameras finally came back online, the hallways outside Hassan's office appeared empty. The mansion looked calm again, almost untouched. Guards returned to their normal positions, lights dimmed across the estate, and the household settled back into silence. But Maria Delgado had disappeared. The following morning, Karim informed the staff that Maria had left the estate voluntarily during the night. According to his explanation, she had stolen confidential business records and fled before security could stop her. Faisal ordered guards to search nearby roads, while Nabil contacted family lawyers to prepare official statements. At first, the story seemed believable. Maria's room was empty except for a few scattered belongings. Her phone had been left behind, and no one inside the estate claimed to have seen her after midnight. The brothers acted calm, controlled, and cooperative when authorities arrived. But one investigator noticed inconsistencies almost immediately. The timeline surrounding Maria's disappearance contained too many gaps. Surveillance footage from the hallway outside Hassan's office had been erased during the exact period Maria vanished. Security logs also showed unusual manual overrides affecting doors, cameras, and internal alarms across the mansion. Someone had controlled the system deliberately. Investigators requested additional footage from every camera connected to the property. Faisal claimed several backup systems had malfunctioned during the outage, limiting what could be recovered. Most of the recordings appeared corrupted or incomplete. Then an overlooked detail changed everything. Across the far side of the estate stood an old maintenance building rarely used by staff. Mounted above its rear entrance was a separate security camera connected to an outdated backup system independent from the mansion's main network. No one had disabled it. When investigators reviewed the footage, the truth began to surface. The grainy recording showed movement near the rear service entrance shortly before dawn. Two security guards appeared carrying what looked like an unconscious person wrapped inside a blanket. Karim walked ahead of them while Faisal scanned the surrounding area repeatedly. Several minutes later, Nabil exited the building carrying a large black case. The figure in the blanket matched Maria's size exactly. The footage destroyed the brothers' story instantly. Authorities reopened the investigation under criminal suspicion and sealed the entire estate. Forensic teams searched the property room by room while financial investigators examined Hassan's business records more closely. Inside Hassan's old office, investigators discovered signs of a violent struggle hidden beneath careful cleaning attempts. Scratches marked the flooring near the desk, and traces of blood were found beneath recently replaced carpet panels. Burned paper fragments recovered from a fireplace contained partial financial records linked to offshore accounts. Then investigators uncovered something even more damaging. Hidden inside a maintenance storage room were several destroyed hard drives. Although badly damaged, forensic specialists managed to recover fragments of data tied to Hassan's private archives. The recovered files exposed years of financial fraud committed by his sons. Millions had disappeared through fake companies and forged contracts. Hassan had discovered everything before his death, and Maria had known the truth. Suddenly, her inheritance made perfect sense. Hassan had not simply rewarded her loyalty. He had trusted her to protect evidence against his own family after he was gone. That trust had made her the most dangerous person inside the estate. The investigation surrounding Maria Delgado's disappearance quickly grew beyond the walls of the Al Malik estate. What initially appeared to be a missing person case turned into one of Dubai's most closely watched criminal investigations. Media outlets began reporting on the hidden surveillance footage, the erased security records, and the financial crimes tied to Sheikh Hassan's sons. Public attention intensified as more evidence surfaced each week. Authorities focused first on reconstructing the final hours before Maria vanished. Digital analysts reviewed every available system connected to the estate. Motion sensors, access logs, and automated security controls revealed coordinated activity during the exact time frame when the surveillance cameras had gone offline. Doors inside the private wing had been remotely locked and unlocked in sequence, creating controlled movement paths through the mansion. The data showed planning. Nothing about the events that night appeared accidental or spontaneous. The system overrides, camera shutdowns, and repositioning of security personnel all pointed toward deliberate coordination. Then forensic teams uncovered the final piece. Near the far edge of the estate grounds stood an abandoned storage structure that had not been used in years. During an expanded property search, investigators noticed disturbed soil partially hidden beneath construction debris and landscaping material. Search teams excavated the area carefully. Buried beneath the ground, they discovered Maria Delgado. The finding confirmed the worst fears surrounding the case. Medical analysis later showed Maria had suffered fatal injuries during the confrontation inside Hassan's office. Evidence suggested she had attempted to protect the financial records hidden there before being overpowered. The hidden CCTV footage became the center of the prosecution's case. Although grainy, the recording clearly showed Karim, Faisal, and multiple security guards transporting Maria's unconscious body through the estate during the early hours of the morning. The footage aligned perfectly with the missing surveillance window and the internal security overrides recovered from the mansion systems. The brothers' explanation collapsed completely. As investigators examined Hassan's private archives, the full motive became undeniable. Hassan had spent months secretly gathering proof that his sons were stealing from him through fraudulent companies, hidden transfers, and forged approvals. He planned to expose them legally before his sudden death. Maria became dangerous because Hassan trusted her with the evidence. The $3 million left in the will were never simply a gift. The inheritance publicly confirmed her importance to Hassan and indirectly revealed that she possessed information capable of destroying the family empire. Fear drove the brothers to act, but their attempt to erase Maria created even more evidence against them. Every effort to control the estate, the deleted footage, manipulated systems, and hidden records, left behind traces investigators eventually uncovered. The Al Malik empire collapsed rapidly afterward. Bank accounts connected to offshore fraud were frozen, luxury properties were seized, and longtime business associates distanced themselves from the family. The estate that once represented power and wealth became the center of an international criminal investigation. In the end, the brothers lost everything because of one mistake. They controlled every camera inside the mansion but failed to notice the single forgotten CCTV camera outside the main network. And that overlooked recording captured the truth they could never erase.